What is going on, Whisper Nation? What's going on, Trav?
What's up, dude?
For the playoffs coming up, man. I'm
Oh,
so
dude.
We got the Pack Attack coming your way. We also got the Cardinals coming in. I mean, like, and you're a Rams fan too. Like, you've got your own two teams, Packers and Rams. I've got mine and the Packers and the Cardinals. I got my little Cardinals here to bring them some luck.
Oh, yeah, a little bit of love, a little Cardinals, red on black. I like that.
He's coming at
put
you,
him
man.
on there. I didn't even see that. I thought that was like the shoelace.
Oh yeah, this was that collab on these new Jordan 4s, man. It's the Cardinal edition. And they've got you this really annoying thing that's put there, makes it hard to tie. No, I'm just playing. I was
like, no way, dude. I was like, no way you hate. No wonder you hate these shoes. Austin me off air, Whisper Nation, about how he's going to sell these things because they're hard to put on.
Yeah,
and I thought it might have been just now because they put a cardinal on the shoelaces. I'm like, it makes sense now.
I'm a comfort bitch.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Yeah. No, but man, comfort aside, I'm really looking forward to these games. Cardinals, Packers, Rams, everybody.
Yeah, they're trying to get us to call it Super Wildcard Weekend. Like, that's their new ploy. You know, you can notice because they've extended it out to Monday. That's the new marketing and the branding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, man, it is super. It's a good idea to have these games spread out Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I like it,
man.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, give me 3 days. And a lot of people in the industry think that's how we're going to move. That's what we're going to move towards. Like, even Championship Sunday extended out to a Sunday, Monday game. I mean, why not capture 2 primetime slots, right? Why are you trying to do it all on one day? And I think we're going to see this a lot with the NFL. Like, do we see the NFL go forward to maybe multiple days? I mean, I thought, I haven't seen the ratings behind it, and this is a little off topic, but I thought in these COVID moves, you know, having the Tuesday, the Wednesday games was kind of fun, man. Having something in the middle of the week to break it up.
Bro, I didn't hate it either. And I think it would be a really cool thing. You hear about the players talking all the time about the shortened weeks.
Yeah.
You know, the big complaint there on the Thursday night games was you finish on Sunday, you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like resting, preparing, and it's just not enough time for the human body to get back to whole. You know, and like you're losing steam. So what I've always been a proponent of is stretching the season out. Like, it's not really that terribly long of a season.
2 weeks in between, or a week in between, like a bye week for everyone in between. Let the body heal, go back at it again, something like that.
Yeah, you know, my thought on the Thursdays for the longest time had been, if you play a Thursday night game, you should have your next one be a Monday. So then you get a little bit more time. And so it can drag it out that way, or give you a bye beforehand. Like, make sure that you extend that out.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And you say, well, I don't know, could they do it? But you've told me before about how the NBA gets a bunch of people in a room, PhDs and like basically, you know, statisticians, and says, hey, make us a schedule. Where
they do.
Basically, it's like you put filters in, right? Like, we don't want this team doing this or this, you know what I mean?
When
and
you look
through and do it.
When you look at what these stadiums in the NBA at least have to coordinate, given there's an 82-game schedule in the NBA, but these venues don't just house NBA games. They're housing concerts, motocross events, you know, Disney on Ice, all of those kinds of things are also housed in there. So Taylor Swift concerts, they got to coordinate a lot of things. And also with an 82-game season where you have an equal amount of away games and home games, and then you have a specific amount of divisional games, conference games, interconference games, all these different ones. And then they had, on top of all of those complications, this was maybe like in the later maybe like 2013, something like that, roundabout. Whisper Nation might be able to check me on this, but they had a whole NBA schedule overlay where they brought in a bunch of new PhD statisticians and organizers to get a schedule that incorporated not just those previous variables in terms of scheduling conflict, but some of the preferences the NBA came out with based on player health. Like, the NBA players were sick of playing back-to-back games. And they're like, look, I know we have to play some, but can we please limit back-to-back games as much as possible? Can we please not ever have a 5-game week again? And can we actually have as few 4-game in a week weeks as possible? You know, like, let's do 3 games a week is an ideal. And so they added a couple of weeks into the season, and they were able to accommodate all of these moving parts. So I'm like, why doesn't the NFL go ahead and use the rest of the days of the week, as you put out in the beginning, Travi, of like, we saw they could do it with COVID, and it was fun. We have Tuesday games, Wednesday games. Like, I like the Sunday overflow. I think we all do. It's, you know, I mean, how the NFL is so good. It took that day away from God, but like, you know, good for you. But I think you can still keep that momentum going on the weekend while also dispersing throughout the week, which would be enjoyable. And then that helps with player safety.
Yeah, I'm wondering how they're going to adjust completely because the NFL, they're a little greedy, right? So they're not a little, they're a lot greedy, but they got this Saturday thing. They got the extra week, right? They got the extra week in the year. How much more are they going to want to bite off after this? How much more do they want to take? They're like, oh, you gave us an extra week. Do we want another extra week? Move in a second bye, all sorts of things that are going to be fun there. I'm excited for these playoffs. Maybe if we get some time today, it'd be kind of cool to maybe work through the playoff bracket. I know we did a little bit Monday, but it'd be kind of cool to make a little bit of picks here, at least for this weekend. I don't know how you're feeling about that.
Yeah, no, I love that. Let's talk. So what we had talked about doing here, Whisper Nation. And first off, how are y'all doing?
Yeah, we got
Ronald College. Do it for 20. Man, it's great to
okay?
have all of y'all jumping in here with before us. Like Ronald's point, yes, or let the people's buy be after the Thursday game. Exactly. Figure out a way to give them a little bit more rest time in between those games, especially when there's that Thursday game. But Whisper Nation, it is so great to have you with us on this Friday afternoon. Let us know who you're rooting for this playoffs, 2022-20 playoffs. I guess it was going to 2023, not yet.
Well, it's 2021 playoffs, but they're played in 2022.
Is that how it's done? Or is it the 2022 playoffs?
No, it's the 2020. It's the 2021 season.
Is it? Or is it the 2022 season?
No, it's the 2021 season. That's the
It's Madden 22.
Well, I mean that's different. But, I gotta say what's up to my aunt Kelly in here. Go Pack Go. What's up, Auntie K?
What's up, Auntie K?
Ronald says go Eagles, and Do It 420 says Bengals all the way this time. So we got some people in here rooting. Yeah, so it's the 2021 season playoff played in 2022. That's how they work it. That's how they've always done it. It's a little weird. The Super Bowl's always been played the next year, but they're the 2021 champions.
Okay.
You see what I mean? You see?
I see what you mean. I
don't love it either. I don't love it either.
I had thought it was the other one. You're speaking more confidently than I am, so I'll lean in that direction. But I thought it was the 2022
we'll get some more clarity
champion
on it for sure. But I'm almost like 90% sure that's how it
Ronald's on your side over there. But either way,
yeah,
we've got the playoffs now. We're gonna have a champion coming up on this one. And what we wanted to do here, Whisper Nation, was two things here. We're gonna go through some of the news and notes that are impacting some of these playoff matchups, as well as just some of the notable pieces around the NFL. And then we're gonna go through the NFL coaching vacancies. We got basically 7 of them. And Travi and I were gonna chop those ones up a little bit and talk about from a fantasy perspective of which teams we were most eager to see get a really good coach, or where we would like to see these other ones go that direction. So moving into the news and notes section here, this is a pretty good one here. I know Ronald's going to be excited about this. According to Mike K over on Twitter, Miles Sanders told reporters today that he's going to play in the wild card game against the Buccaneers. I like Miles Sanders, man. I think he's when he's healthy, I think he's actually a much better back than he gets credit for.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think this is huge for the Eagles and what they want to try and do against the Buccaneers. Again, we talked a little bit about this on Monday, but the bottom line is the Eagles are one of the best rushing offenses in the league, if not the best rushing offense in the league. We saw in that Detroit Lions game where they stomped the Lions, remember? And I think all 3 of their backs got a score. And we were like, I remember sitting on this show and being like, well, let's, pump the brakes because it's only against Detroit. We shouldn't see this going forward. Well, that's exactly what we saw. They changed their whole offense. They said, we're not going to put too much on Hurts, and we're going to run the ball a ton, and that's what they've done. So now they're going to get Miles Sanders back to add. I believe Jordan Howard is healthy as well. They're going to get, Kenneth Gainwell, who's the rookie. So I think there's going to be some cause for concern, at least for the Bucs, at least a bunch of different bodies for them to throw at them. We've also heard rain in the forecast for this game. So, Miles Sanders' career kind of had a little bit of a fumbling problem. What's going to happen in this game? Could get a little sloppy. We know the Bucs are really, really good at stopping the run. They just extended.
Yeah.
So.
You've been saying that. You've been talking a lot about why you think that the Buccaneers got an edge in this game, and simply because of their rush defense. And that's what the Eagles have been able to cut into their opponents when they've been able to do it. It's been with that run game.
Yeah. I mean, there's just the bottom line for this is what's going to give and who's the X factor. Will Hurts step up and be an X factor in this game? Will it be they shut down the run and then Hurts is put on Hurts to kind of bring them ahead? I can't see a world where Tampa Bay gets outed here in the first game. It's at home, but the weather will play a role here. I mean, if we get winds and rain, that's going to be a lot different. I mean, you would think it would benefit the offense that relies on the run versus the one that relies on Tom Brady to throw through that stuff.
I think you're really right on that breakdown, man. Yeah, I'm looking at Sunday there. We've got 75% chance of precipitation early on, wind gusts there in the 20s. So it's not going to be an ideal weather game from a high scoring perspective. And that does give me a little bit of pause saying that the Bucs are automatically going to pull this one. It's the playoffs. Tom Brady has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but he hasn't been foolproof. You know what I mean? He's had a couple of games where you're like, wait, you guys are getting your asses kicked by the Saints in this kind of fashion?
Right.
Like, wait, what is going on right now? The weather played, I think, a factor in his New England game. That was there too, and they pulled the win out on that one, but it wasn't convincing.
Right.
And if the Eagles have so many weapons that if all of a sudden the stars align and they're clicking, the Eagles are a seriously dangerous team.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They are a dangerous team if they have one of the best offensive lines in football. So if they can get that run game going, they keep away from Tom Brady. They are kind of, I'm not going to say perfect. I think the defense could be a little bit better. That would be a perfectly designed team. Like if he was playing New England right now, I think that's a perfectly designed team to beat Tom Brady. Play keep away, play good defense on the outside. But remember, this Bucs team, not invincible like it was last year. A lot different. Okay.
Yeah.
The outside can be beat by the corners. Their run defense is still very good. Then if you look on the other side of the ball, we've got Godwin out. We've got Antonio Brown out. We've got Leonard Fournette game time call. So a lot of things working against the Bucs here. Could be an upset here. And I'm trying to talk myself into putting some money on the Eagles here now after I just placed a parlay for a bunch of other upsets.
Yeah. Moving over to, you talk about some of these dangerous teams, man. I don't know if there's any team more dangerous than the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes. Their edge is a little bit duller. Well, maybe it's not. We'll see. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He was not at Friday's practice. This was with a shoulder injury. Sam McDowell over on Twitter is commenting about this, saying it's a major concern following potential setback with his lingering shoulder injury. CEH was downgraded to a DNP on Thursday and will likely log another DNP today. It's going to be Darrell Williams stepping up, playing through a toe injury. That's who we'd expect to have these workhorse duties if CEH is down. This is just a bummer, though, man. Like, I want to see the Chiefs rocking and rolling at full strength. Do you think that this opens up any vulnerabilities for them? I'll also add in here that Tyreke Hill was limited at practice on Thursday. Not as much of a concern. He's been a full participant on Wednesday. It seems unlikely he's not going to play against the Steelers. That's Tyreke Hill, and otherwise they're doing okay. But that run game is a real weapon if they have it in their arsenal. Do you think that they still do with Gore and Williams being back there? Are they going to be serviceable, or is it going to become a liability for the Chiefs?
I don't think it'll be, at least not in this game. The Steelers just don't have a lot to match them offensively. On the other side, I don't have enough faith in Big Ben to kind of get it done to put pressure on the Chiefs on the other side. They'll throw to open up the run in this game with CEH down, with Gore with Williams kind of nursing that toe. So for me, I'm not too worried about it. I'd be worried for the Chiefs to make a longer run if they can't get a serviceable run game going again, because if we look at all their Super Bowl and Super Bowl winning teams, they were assisted by, whether it was Damien Williams in that one run or if it was another running back that they were able to get going at the right time. So we'll see what happens there. But in this particular game, I mean, you could ask for no other better draw than the Steelers right now. I mean, even Big Ben saying of the 14 teams in, they're probably 14. Part of that was obviously him building up some stuff there, but I do.
Was it though?
Yeah, I do agree with him though. Like, he's right. They are.
I think I know we were talking about this one, and that Big Ben comment was really interesting. And we were saying like Billy Chelsea was saying brilliant strategy to set it up. No one's expecting me to win, and then I win, and like all the pressure's off. I think that's true.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the angle he's playing with, though. I think he's already done.
Brutally honest.
I think he's being brutally honest, and I think he didn't even expect to make the playoffs. And then two funny things happen, and he's just like, "What?" He's like, "I'm already retired, guys. I'm a Super Bowl champ, 2-timer." It
reminded me a little of two things. I like that angle for sure, but it also reminded me of LeBron James, where LeBron James will build some narrative up just to give himself kind of an out. Sure. And he did it again this year with
Aaron Rodgers.
Like the old team. He's like, you know what? This is Rome wasn't built in a day. I love when LeBron always says that Rome wasn't built in a day, like give us time. And it's like, you're always just giving yourself a way to get out of the, spin the other narrative the other way. But yeah, Big Ben, no short of drama. That's why I love Big Ben. He's just going to come out and give you a little bit of, a a little bit of mind games here, but I don't think the Chiefs are falling. I'll tell you, Chiefs fans are cracking me up though. I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter. They're like Big Ben's retirement party, this Sunday at the Arrowhead Stadium, and they've just got a aged picture of Big Ben with the white beard.
I would not be surprised to see Big Ben leave the sideline for just a moment and go up into the Chiefs stands and like find one of the people who's like, Big Ben's retirement party. It's like, I'm at my own retirement party. I don't think he's playing games at all. I think he's being the most truthful he's ever been, because it's like, why not? It reminds me of my last day lifeguarding, dude, when I was lifeguarding for the city of Chandler. And it was my last. A little bit, right? And I'm in the kiddie pool there doing my lifeguarding for chair 7 over there. And
shout out chair 7, dude.
Shout out chair 7. What's up for life? And I'm out there, and the parent has their kid, and the kid's like, it's a kid, and the water's like, they're running through the pool, and the water's up to their knees. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. No, they're not supposed to run. And I was like, ma'am, that water is a third of the way up your child's body. If your kid falls, he's not touching the ground. Technically, you're right, but I think it's a stupid rule, and it's my last day. I'm not enforcing stupid rules today.
Yeah, I don't care.
I literally said that. I'm not enforcing stupid rules today. And so I just think that Big Ben's in that mindset too. Like, I'm not saying stupid shit today.
It's like, I'm not going to BS with the media anymore. I've done this for how many years? Like, I don't need to talk with you guys about this anymore. We're not the best team. We're not even close to a good team here. We got in by the skin of our pubic hair here. We're like getting in there. Like, that's how we got in. Yeah. And
that's the vibe I got from him, man. He seemed so light. He seemed like he was carrying zero baggage on his shoulders when he was saying it.
I could see that. I thought it is funny, though, to set it up there a little bit, because, we've talked about this before, obviously, Coach Hugh, talking about coach speak, but the quarterbacks do this kind of stuff too, as motivators too. And I think this could be a motivator for the rest of his team, where Ben says, look, I'm going to come in and know that we're the bad team, but the rest of you should take that and take it personally, and then go elevate your game to match.
Like, this is my retirement party. I'm a 2-time Super Bowl champ, first ballot Hall of Famer. Are you?
Yeah. Like, I shouldn't have come back, but I did, because the team around me was pretty good. Be pretty good, and we'll see what we can do here.
Win-win no matter what here. Ronald's saying, I think the Chiefs will win this one pretty easy, but I think the Bills knock them out next week. Speaking of the Bills, Big Travie, got to mention here that according to BuffaloNews.com, Henry Skull Jr. said the Bills have increased their use of a 6th offensive lineman. And I got to wonder if this has been helping Devin Singletary, who's also been getting a lot more work. We talked a lot about Devin Singletary due to how his metrics are actually way better than you might expect. And whenever he's gotten the opportunity, he's actually shown up and shown out. And I'm wondering if we've actually got a run game going in Buffalo for the first time. And if they do, I mean, that freaks me out. Just a little bit of context here on Devin Singletary going back the last few games. 19 carries week 18, 88 yards and a touchdown, 23 fantasy points the week before that, 23 carries, 110 yards, 2 tutties, 23 points. I mean, we're looking at some really impressive numbers here from a carry perspective, from an efficiency perspective, from a fantasy point total perspective. Is this the real missing piece of the Buffalo Bills? Like, I had put the Bills losing to the New England Patriots because they didn't have a run game. But if I look at the last month of football, I'm wondering, has that narrative switched?
It definitely has. You definitely get some more out of Devin Singletary here. And, to be honest, Josh Allen has really increased his play too. And maybe that's in part because of the run game that's been assisting him as well. If we look at the Patriots, we would rather attack their front than their back end, right? We would rather run on them than we would pass on them. And I think that's going to continue to be the case here. 0 degrees, I think, is where they're at it. Austin, did you hear about Bart Scott telling Josh Allen to use Viagra before the game?
What?
Yes. So on Get Up, yes, dude. On Get Up, they're talking about Josh Allen, talking about the circulation to his toes, and in these cold games, it messes with his toes.
Okay.
And Bart Scott goes, hey, can we get a message out to Josh Allen right now? Take Viagra before the game, man. That's what we all used to do back in the day. And he just stuns the whole panel because they're like, what the heck is he talking about? I mean, Louis Riddick is speechless. But yeah, it's funny stuff talking about that. But again, the run game here, I think, is a way to attack the Patriots. I think this will be set up good. And we talked a little bit on Monday, or was it I think it was Monday, about Devin Singletary and where we'd be drafting him next year because of this late end of season push. We'll continue to watch that. I think if they become a multi-dimensional offense, they're already dangerous as just a pass-heavy offense. Yep. Imagine a multi-dimension here. Imagine Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen on a play action. And that's just deadly right now. They already toasted the Patriots last time they played with the crossing routes with Isaiah McKenzie. But I think that if we look at it from a standpoint of what they should do, add a wrinkle in, I think Devin Singletary has been that wrinkle for them, and they're going to continue to try and use him in this game.
I think they will, man. I think that's a really good point on this one. And I'm curious to know where we do end up taking Devin Singletary. I think a lot of the information we acquire in this playoff run is going to illuminate what we think coming into next season fantasy-wise for the Bills. Just like Leonard Fournette did for the Buccaneers, and that ended up being legit. I think Devin Singletary, if we see the Bills lean on him and he continues to produce efficiently, why would you start week 1 next year in a committee approach?
Yeah, I think that's it. And it'll depend on obviously what they do in the draft and free agency and all that, mumbo jumbo. But I think you're right. And we look back to Damien Williams, right? Like Damien Williams, who I mentioned earlier with Kansas City Chiefs, his stock efficiently rose because of 10 games at the end of the season, plus 3 in the regular or in the postseason. And then we're looking at him as a guy we're going to go and draft pretty highly back when he was with the Chiefs still. So again, I think Singletary is a guy that, if you're a Singletary truther, you've been clamoring saying, look, Devin Motor Singletary, when he came out of college, we liked his ability to be shifty, get out in the open. And he is now becoming the all-around, well-rounded back for the Bills. And I like that a lot.
Do you know what else I like? I like how obsessed with Aaron Rodgers Scott is.
Oh,
he has to take a Big Ben segment here and bring it around to Aaron Rodgers. That's how much space Aaron Rodgers takes up in Scott's mind, that he can bring it back anyway. We could be talking about anybody. We could be talking about his mother, and he would be like, look, let me tell you about how this relates to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly.
I love him too, my dude. I got his signature on this ball right here.
Yeah, dude.
It's
hey,
awesome.
Look, you can say that. Sure. Ben's been also aided by a lot of top defenses over his career. Okay, there's been a lot of good defenses in Pittsburgh.
No, his winning percentage isn't as good as Rodgers. Big Ben's played 36 more. Big Ben has like 26 more wins than Rodgers and like 39 more games played. Rodgers has a higher winning percentage. Rodgers has a significantly higher touchdown to interception ratio. This is a funny, silly comment.
Not just wants to come in and poke the bear. That's
I love. You want to poke these. You're getting me good, man. I'm feeling excited, man. I love it. I mean, I coming in here, Johnny. You talking, Travis? You're talking about the running back situation.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot he's got this story about Rodgers.
Wait, does he really?
Yeah, he said he's met him in person, and then he's an a-hole. He said he insulted my wife to her face, and he's a jackass.
Well, does your wife speak like you speak?
Oh,
because if she does, she might have,
she might have deserved the insult. Is that what he's saying?
I don't know what was said.
Fair enough.
All I know is I don't know what was said. I hope that it was. I hope that it was entirely deserved. If it was, and if it wasn't, screw him then, man. Be good to people. Be good to people.
Well, I wouldn't doubt for a second if Aaron Rodgers is an asshole. He's an asshole with the media all the time. That's not what we're talking about here. I'm not great. I mean, and to be fair, like Big Ben isn't a blameless flipping sheep either. So,
no. Yeah, right. It depends on where you meet Big Ben Roethlisberger. Is he?
Yeah.
Man, I'm not going to go down. I'm not going to go down this scenario.
Well, he's found God now, apparently. So we're good. Praise be.
Peace be with you.
Yeah.
Also with you. Go home. Love your household.
Put your T's and P's up. Fire them up.
Oh my God.
No, she is normal.
Love you, Scott. Hope it's been a good week. Moving over here to the Arizona Cardinals, where running back James Conner, man, he was dealing with a foot thing. He's dealing with a rib thing right now. Was not seen during the start of Cardinals practice today. Left week 18's loss with that rib injury. Probably log a second straight DNP ahead of Monday night's game against the Rams. I think this is one of those situations where he plays, but he just doesn't look awesome.
Yeah, I'm a little bummed, because I locked in a parlay here for the Cardinals to win. Probably should have waited till the injury news. But Connor's been such a big piece of how the Cardinals have not only sustained all the other injuries, but just been a force to be reckoned with in the run game. And Connor's been basically the sole reason for that. Luckily for the Cardinals, they do have Chase Edmonds, but he has not been Cardinals. He's not been Connor. So for me, I just, this one's a big one for me, especially without Hopkins. I think there's some things to be scared of here if I'm a Cardinals fan going into this game against the Rams. Luckily for them, the Rams defense has playmakers, but it hasn't been that elite shutdown unit that we've seen. And Kyler Murray's always going to give you that, X factor advantage as a rushing quarterback.
I feel safe saying this because I'm a legitimate Cardinals fan, and you're a legitimate Rams fan over here too. There are strong number twos behind the pack. Go pack, go! But
Yeah.
this is like the discount game to me, in that both of these teams should be like sexy teams, like kicking ass, scoring at the top of the league, and both of these teams look like they're playing their like worst football of the season right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not impressed with what I've seen Matt Stafford do. I'm not impressed with the Cardinals right now.
They've both backed into the playoffs, both backed in after week 18 losses to divisional opponents. They're very similar in a lot of ways, which is
all either team had to do was win the game, and either team winning the game would have been one of the division, and neither team won.
No.
Backed into this position. I like how you
so it's tough for me to kind of project this game, Austin. I do think the Cardinals have a little bit of an edge, only because
who wants it less?
Exactly. They've won. They're undefeated on the road. They don't care about traveling and winning. So I think that's something to be said. Yeah. If you look at the game against the Rams, the Monday night game we called here on TFW, and if you guys want to be part of the nation, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join us over there. We're going to be doing live streaming some of these playoff games as well. But if you look at that game, I went back and I was kind of looking at highlights and stuff. Remember, the Cardinals kind of controlled a lot of that game. And if it weren't for that that interception where, he was wide open, as Johnny said, that Kyler Murray threw in the end zone, then we've got a situation where this game, they were about to score there and be up by multiple touchdowns or multiple scores. Right. So I actually do think that the Cardinals have a little bit of an advantage here, but Connor not playing would be a huge blow, Austin. And I think it maybe swings it a little bit more in the Rams' favor than I thought initially.
The way I've been chopping up the Cardinals right now, I need to get a little bit more specific with this metaphor. But did you ever like build one of those like little, I think it's an electrical board, when you basically it's like a kid experiment thing where it's like, watch, we're gonna put in this little metal screw and attach it with this wire, and
it's almost like a motherboard, but not.
Yeah, like a little electrical motherboard kind of thing, and you've got a little light bulb at the end, and then you touch this battery on one screw, and it goes through all the wires and the different.
And you lick the battery, and
then you lick the battery and you put it up behind you, and your eyes light on fire. No, like you go ahead and you do that, and then the light bulb glows. You know what I mean? And it's like, watch how the conduction and all this stuff happens. And you can cut one cord and the light bulb still glows because the electrical current can go another path. And you pull out one screw and the light bulb still glows because the current still finds a way to get through those conductive wires, and the electricity illuminates the bulb. I feel like, though, the Cardinals have just been snipping too many wires. It's like you lose DeAndre Hopkins, big wire, light bulb still glows. You lose Chase Edmonds. Ooh, it's still working. You lose James Conner, though. And then you have Kyler Murray playing at 90%, and all of a sudden it's just enough wires where that light bulb is not lit up anymore. And it's like you can't get an advantage anywhere on the field anymore.
Yeah, what they say about planes, right? When planes crash, it's not one big thing or event. It's cascading failures, things that have worked up together to make sure that the plane goes down. So I agree with you. I think that there's a lot of nicks in the armor. Luckily for the Cardinals, the Rams are very similar.
Same thing. Yeah.
They're very similar. There's a lot of nicks in their armor. They have a beat up running back room. They have a middling at best offensive line. They have a quarterback that has thrown a ton of interceptions. Now, you could have Stafford's back, as Colin Cowherd has said, and say, look, he's been really good in the second half. Nobody's been better than Stafford in the second half. But again, the playoffs, if you start off bad at the beginning of the game, that's not a good thing. You could easily get yourself out of a game. And so that's where I'm looking at it. And last week they didn't really play their best at the second half. They let the Niners get the game. So I think there's quite a bit here. It's going to be a good showdown. We'll be streaming that game live on Monday night. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you can catch that with us. I can't wait to call that one. What's up, Freak Stomper in here says, what's up, fellas? He says, peekaboo, Austin. And there he is. Yeah. Oh, ridiculous. Johnny's out here. We're just going to have a little fun today.
That's what's up, right? Yo, and speaking, you just mentioned the 49ers and the comeback they had on those Rams. And we got Freak Stomper then coming in here. And we obviously know his team of choice. And it's a perfect segue here into running back Elijah Mitchell, Big Travie, who, according to Nick Wagoner over on Twitter, said that Elijah Mitchell, who's been dealing with a knee issue, returned to the 49ers practice Thursdays, got in that limited session. The 49ers are on the record as expecting Mitchell to suit up against the Cowboys on Sunday. They're managing his reps, they say. I'm so interested by this 49ers offense right now. Like we talked a while ago about how Deebo Samuel's just been utilized all over the field. He's like, to me, a more aggressive, hard-hitting Percy Harvin right now. Not as fast, not as shifty, but a lot more physical. And they use him in all these kinds of ways, and he did not let up. So I mean, Elijah Mitchell's obviously exciting too.
He's essentially been what we wanted Percy Harvin to be. I mean, he's sustained that over the last couple of years. Obviously, he had a injury ready last year, but his rookie year was really good too. I just, first of all, I just want to say how we missed this, as Deebo Samuel was the guy who established chemistry first with Jimmy G. Then we loved Ayuk because he was the shiny toy. But when Shanahan got Deebo back, did he deploy him as ever as the alpha here in this offense, and not just as a guy they're going to use down the field? In fact, they rarely do. They put him out as a screen, and this guy just gets it done. It's the perfect pairing for Jimmy G, who is not a guy to push the ball down the field, but you get a guy in Deebo that does it. Now, the question here is Elijah Mitchell in the running game. Now, I think, I'm not alone here as we look at like Scott saying Niners and Jimmy G to the Super Bowl. Ronald saying they were managing his reps last week as he was a workhorse. Yeah, I agree. He is kind of the Raheem Mostert version of this offense that gets the motor running. If they have to go to the Jeff Wilson, then you see a lot of more Deebo Samuel in the backfield. You'll see a lot of more wrinkles in here. But make no mistake right now that the best running game in the NFL right now heading into the playoffs is probably Shanahan with a healthy roster, right? So you want to be able to push that. Maybe the Eagles could vouch for that. The Cowboys are in trouble here. I think that the Niners are a red-hot team. I think if I'm looking at all the underdogs to go this weekend, this is the one I'm most confident in. The Niners are red-hot. They have two guys. If you shut down Deebo, what are you going to do about Kittle? If you shut down Kittle, what are you going to do about Deebo? And you could
come in there and mess around and make something happen.
Exactly. And I think that this offense is just Shanahan's been able to scheme it to perfection down the stretch. Despite the injuries, they're going to get the best, maybe one of the best linemen in football back in Trent Williams, who was practicing yesterday. I think he'll get back for this game. And the Cowboys, to me, there's a lot of holes here. Is the offense overrated? Is the offensive line overrated? Is Mike McCarthy going to screw this team in a one-possession game with some clock management issues? I think there's a lot here. Greg Zuerlein has missed kicks all year long.
Yeah, he is.
There's just too much stuff for me to want to love Dallas here. I get it.
Yeah,
brain. We talked about this on Monday, Austin, where it's like maybe I'm talking myself too much into the Cowboys choke narrative. But for me, these two teams, I think we talked about how Dallas has scored the most points. They're the highest scoring team. Well, they just scored, 50 some odd points against Philly? How much is buoyed by these NFC East games where they've been able to just kind of dominate?
Here's my take on the counter side with Dallas, because I love rooting against Dallas, and I would love to see them get embarrassed. I don't even care if they lose. I'd like to see them get embarrassed, if I'm just being honest. But I'm not going to bank on that this time. And normally I would, because I think that Mike McCarthy is more hollow than solid. I think that the team build has been more glitz than grit. And I think that we've seen this team fall apart a lot. But the difference to me right now, we know they've always been talented. They've just allowed maybe a blind spot issue to come up and grab them. Maybe they lose their confidence in a moment. They get deflated and they can't get it back going. The difference right now is they have a real defense. And they've got playmakers on defense with Diggs and Micah Parsons. We probably have the two best young players there, TJ Watt right in that spot. But Dallas all of a sudden has the next Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, on their team up and coming, and they're not too far behind them right now. These are legitimate playmakers for them. And when you have a defense that can come in and bail your offense out, that can inflate a deflated confidence. The offense can all of a sudden, Dax had to do it on his own for so long. That's why last year, he started off the game 400 yards, 450 yards passing, because the defense is horrible. Different game right now. So I see him getting into a spot where he's down, thinks he's in a similar position, starts going into a downward spiral, and then Micah Parsons makes a huge play. Diggs gets a pick six, and all of a sudden it's whoa, we're actually up now. I haven't been in this position now. I'm feeling it. And I think that could be the difference maker in this Dak and Dallas team, and why I'm kind of on board with Dallas.
We've talked about, I love that breakdown, man. I'm glad you brought up the Dallas defensive playmakers. First of all, I do think it's a little bit saying Diggs is kind of like Jalen Ramsey. I think he's not as locked down. He reminds me of Marcus Peters, honestly. He's going to make a lot of interceptions, and I don't think that he's
the level of playmaker. The level of playmaker.
He's a huge playmaker. Micah Parsons is really the X factor in this game, because if the defensive line for Dallas can wreck things for the running game, then it's not going to matter, because if they have to rely on Jimmy G for this game, then Dallas could easily blow 49ers out. I think that could happen. I think that Shanahan will do his best to obviously chip what he needs to chip on the outside with Parsons. And that's why you have a Debo and why you have a Kittle, because their average depth of target is going to be lower and they're going to go make the plays. So I think that's going to help them. But defensive line game here. This isn't really about, we've talked about all these offensive line players or offensive players. It's really about the defensive line, because you look at Bosa on the other side for the Niners. They've got a bunch of Armstead, a bunch of these other guys. You look at the linebackers for the Niners, Fred Warner. There's a lot of playmakers on the defensive side of the ball. So I actually think, you said, I don't think the Cowboys are going to choke or get blown out. I don't either. But I think that this could be a one possession game where the Niners kind of squeak it out. And I think that's the problem here. If you're going to ask me to trust Shanahan or McCarthy, in that late game decision making, I'm sorry, man. Maybe I'm burned because I'm a Packers fan and I've seen it too much. I'm going with Shanahan here.
I'm really excited to watch this game. The more we talk about it too, the more I'm getting stoked for it. And people on both sides of this conversation here coming in the chats. I love to see that. Moving over here to, I think a lot of people got a soft spot for the Bengals right now, Travis. How could you not? Right? Yeah, how could you hate a lot of these players, dude? This is a fun ass team, led by this offensive attack here with obviously Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, rookie sensation, and T. Higgins. Is no slouch at all. But he's been dealing with a foot injury. He's going to be active, though, for Saturday's wild card game against the Raiders. He was limited earlier this week, but they're saying it was purely precautionary. I don't know. I'd want defenses thinking it was purely precautionary, too, regardless of what it actually was. And my thought on the Bengals and my real question just comes in. We know that their best is elite. It's top tier. We saw him in that really tough Kansas City Chiefs game not too many weeks back, and they legit won. But in that game, they took an injury. Joe Burrow took an injury to that knee. We missed last week. They're healing up, but for a young quarterback who's a little bit banged up, who also came off of a horrific injury the year prior, we can take a guess on if we think he's going to show up and be that good, but we just haven't seen Joe Burrow in an NFL playoff game with an injured knee coming off a week of rest before. It's going to be new information we get in. I'm a little concerned. I think they play well, but I guess I want a temperature read on you. We know that T. Higgins is a little bit banged up. We know that Joe Burrow is banged up. How confident are we this week when they play the Raiders, who are on and up and up?
This game is awesome, man. All these games are awesome. They're all dripping with these narratives, right? There's a few to start with. So let's start with the Bengals. You started with the offense. I want to start with them. When we look at the game where they played in week 11, this game was closer than the score entails. If you look at the game into the fourth quarter, I think it was like 16-13 still before the Bengals kind of blew it open there. I think that it's a similar style game. I don't think everybody wants fireworks from this game. Both the Raiders and the Bengals offenses have been, push the ball down the field, pass for a lot of yardage. I don't think that's going to happen. You've got Gus Bradley running the Raiders defense here. It's a cover 3. They're really good. They're really sound in the back end there, kind of like that old Seattle style defense. And I think that, you look at Ngakoue and you look at, Max Crosby, who rushed the passer for the Raiders, and you look at the offensive line for the Bengals. If I'm the Bengals, there's one thing that makes sense here. Give Joe Mixon the ball 20 to 30 times in this game, run it down the Raiders' throat, and get out of there with a win. Don't get cute here. I know what they want to do. They've been doing.
And they got so cute in that Kansas City game, dude. At the end, when it's fourth down and they keep going for it, not running it with Mixon.
And I told you guys, I think on Monday, where Zach Taylor is a little iffy for me because of these decisions. We talked about that fourth down decision on last week.
I'm not bought in on Zach Taylor, bro.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the Raiders seem to be bought in on their interim coach here. They seem to be playing for this guy pretty well. So I think the coaching advantage could maybe swing that way. Quarterback advantage, I think, is clearly Joe Burrow. Just the way he's able to push the ball down the field. And you want to talk about Joe Burrow not being in a playoff game? Remember, Derek Carr, when the Raiders last made the playoffs, had hurt himself. Well, he didn't hurt himself, but he got hurt. He broke his ankle or knee or whatever the hell it was in that MVP type season, and he did not play. So this is his first playoff game. So we got both of these guys playing in their first playoff game. We've got the Raiders traveling cross country after a Sunday night. They're going to play Saturday first game after a Sunday night overtime game. There's so many narratives dripping off of this matchup. I do like the Bengals to win this game. If you're making me put money on it, even though I put money on the Raiders, but that's a different. If you're
playing the odds,
we're playing the odds here. I do think the Bengals win this game. I like the quarterback play, but I think it's a lot closer than people think, and I think people are wanting Joe Burrow to come in there and swing Big D and have his cigar after the game. And I'm telling you right now, Ngakoue and Max Crosby against that Bengals offensive line, there's going to be problems for the Bengals if they don't continue to pound the rock with Joe Mixon here.
Dude, you talk about Derek Carr and you talk about Joe Burrow, and these are two like underrated old souls as far as I'm concerned. Weathered souls, actually, I think is a more accurate description for them, because I'm looking at these two guys and I can't help but have Captain America come to mind after when he's all old. And it's like, you want to tell us about that? No, I don't think I will. Like, you look at what these two guys have gone through, right? Like Joe Burrow from his transfer in his collegiate career, moving around different schools, coming into LSU, not being his dad putting a Heisman bet on his own son, and the odds are like plus 4,000 because no one thinks of this guy. Then he has this horrific knee injury. And we're all saying, like, is he even good? We haven't even
the playoffs in the next year after that injury, man.
Right. And does this, but like, and then he's hurt again. And he's so calm and chill and like connected to like, I think good roots and good, like he pulls from good wells. Yeah. And then you got Derek Carr, who's like in a similar fashion. Like he seems like a really wholesome dude, says the right things, pulls from good wells. Like a truly good Christian in my book of how Derek Carr approaches the world. And then you got freaking Henry Ruggs, doing all this wild stuff, killing people in his car. You got John Gruden then getting ousted from the NFL. And Derek Carr, Derek Carr's coming in, especially with the Henry Ruggs stuff being like, I think he's going to need everybody. Like, he feels horrible on this one. Like, let's show up for a human being in a way we'd want to show up for a human being. But that's not easy to do. You know what I mean?
The Raiders team has faced so much adversity, which is why I have a hard time thinking that the Bengals are just going to blow this team out. I don't think that the Raiders go quietly here if they do go down at all. And so for me, it's a situation where you named all the adversity there. Carr is weathered, man. Carr has probably aged at least 5 years in this year alone, just based on what he's had to deal with over there in Las Vegas. You said man of faith. That's exactly what Carr is. He's going to be leaning big on his values here, I'm sure. But yeah, Burrow versus Carr. You know what else I saw that I think not a lot of people are talking about, Austin, is that Josh Jacobs looked really good against the Chargers. He was making cuts. He looked the healthiest he'd been all year. So that's another thing that's going to play into this game. Can Josh Jacobs get going? The run games, I think, are going to be the unsung heroes here. It's going to be Joe Mixon versus Josh Jacobs. That's what I think is going to make the difference in this game. I'm excited. We got people popping off in the chat here talking about all sorts of nonsense.
Dude, I know. Scott coming in like, Scott, you can't start talking about your wife and then start talking about my penis and not be like, just ask her, bro.
Oh, damn. We got him. Damn. I do.
I could talk on my own penis, but just your wife's closer to you right now anyway. She can talk about it just fine.
Hey, we got they're saying, Carr, not big on Carr. Burrow is way better. I'm not disputing that too much here. But remember, like, this Raiders team is not that bad. Okay. They started off undefeated.
They're the best offense in the league, like through the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, they had a bunch of Derek Carr was leading in passing yards. Look at Hunter Renfrow. I've been watching some cuts of Hunter Renfrow and his route running. He's looking really crispy there. And that's not something I thought I was going to be saying about Hunter Renfrow. Darren Waller in this game, Austin, the Week 11 matchup where these played, 116 yards. They had no answer for Darren Waller. You have to think Darren Waller back fully healthy, got that 90-some-odd% snap share against the Chargers. What kind of impact is he going to play in this game? I'm absolutely stoked for this game, and it's the first game on the docket for Saturday. I love all these narratives coming in. Look, I get the love for Joe Burrow. We love the new shiny thing. He's hot right now. Had the best 2-game stretch of anybody ever to close out the year before he got hurt and rested. So I don't know, man. Big stuff in this game. I lean Bengals, but I would not be surprised if the Raiders, undefeated since John Madden passed.
That's a good point too. That's a good point too. And I think that the post Gruden increase here for the Raiders is like, I don't think that can be. I don't think that's just coincidence either.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Especially it's in a short run, and
Well, I
it's
mean,
going to
this
be,
is we
as
see
always.
this all the time, the opposite, right? Pressure either galvanizes you, right? It either turns you into the diamond or it crushes you like the coal and into the dust. The Raiders are the absolute opposite here, where they have just kind of become a playoff team and become somebody we're talking about right now. So
Scott saying the day you start picking the Bengals, the day you're losing. I remember in the Whisper Listener League, you taking Joe Mixon, and I was with you. Strofe laughed at all of the Joe Mixon talk off the hill, but Joe Mixon ended up doing what we thought that he could. So, I mean, the Bengals are
second round picks.
They've been surprising. They've been surprising.
Freak Stomper says, ask the wife. She said he has a huge hog. So we've got confirmation on Austin's hog. It is huge.
But real talk, it's about the intimacy. It's about the connection.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's all just how you use it. Like, equipment does have an impact, but the emotional connection is more important. And there's so many other elements to intimacy and sexual enjoyment. Like, my oral game is crazy, Scott.
So it's crazy. Lips on lips. All right.
We'll spit facts and spit other stuff too. But this is going now down in a beautiful direction. We'll go ahead and pivot over to our next subject. Oh, quick rundown here, Travie. Ronald Jones, we don't expect him to be playing in this game. We don't expect DeAndre Hopkins to be playing in this game. Aaron Rodgers' toe will be in full force. No concerns over there. Giovanni Bernard activated from the IR. It's good news there. We'll see how he continues to get more and more involved. We also got Leonard Fournette returning from the IR after the hamstring injury. His return was expected. Nonetheless, excellent news. Love to hear that. Still dealing with Chris Godwin, though, obviously, and Antonio Brown going to be out of this one. Emmanuel Sanders, full participant in Tuesday's practice. He's on the up, but I think that we had actually want to get square on Emmanuel Sanders there before I speak that.
I think Sanders is going to be good, right? I think
is he going to be good?
I think that's what they're saying, and that's another storyline in that game. Not to jump into it, but in the second matchup between the Patriots and the Bills, Isaiah McKenzie was in that game. Sanders was not. They ran a lot of crossing routes. He killed it. I think 115 yards and a touchdown or something like that. He's going to be relegated back to off the field here because they're going to start Sanders just out of pure, and that's something that's like may play an impact here. I don't think Sanders is as good as McKenzie was in that game consistently. Doesn't mean he won't be. We'll see what happens with Beasley as well. It's a 0-degree game. I think, like you said, we're going to see Devin Singletary versus Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson and the boys for that game.
That's going to be fun. I can't wait to watch this. I can't wait to be streaming the game with you, Whisper Nation. We're going to be doing the Monday game, right, Travie?
Sunday and Monday. Yeah, we're doing the Sunday morning Eagles versus Bucks. We're going to be doing that game. That's going to be the rain game. But then, the main event for us is going to be that Monday night game. Rams Cardinals is going to be great. Going to be dripping with action.
Can't wait for that one.
Our chat's been dripping with action too.
Oh, I love these guys. I love everybody in here coming in. It's fantastic. And we're going to jump to some of these coaching vacancies here in just a second. But I wanted to know we're going to be doing a lot more dynasty poll here coming up too. Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson. Do you have any initial feelings here?
Treylon, absolutely just being, transparent here. Haven't jumped into a lot of the rookie stuff. I'm not a huge call. We just don't have time a lot in the regular season to be watching the college game as much. We watch a little bit of the playoff and stuff, but we will now shift some of that focus here to talk about that over the next coming weeks. All of our mocks in the coming weeks, Austin, are going to be these dynasty startups and stuff like that. So that's going to be stuff that we're going to be walking into. Freak Stomper, we appreciate it. Keep coming with the questions, and we'll keep continuing to try and grind and get you those answers.
Arkansas wide receiver, Buckeyes wide receiver. I know that's going to be a contested conversation moving forward, as is the coaching situation, Travie. We've got 7 vacancies here. 7 if we're going to count the Raiders vacancy as a real vacancy. We'll see how that ends up going. I imagine that how the Raiders finish out here in the playoffs is going to end up having an impact on if the interim coach for the Raiders ends up holding on to that job. But so far we've got 7. We got the Denver Broncos, we got the Miami Dolphins, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars, we got the Minnesota Vikings, Las Vegas Raiders, New York Giants, Chicago Bears, and the Houston Texans, all likely with a new coach next season. So I want to know if one of these teams stands out as the best job to you, and then what team would we see? What team would we benefit from the most fantasy wise, getting in a legitimately good coach who could utilize those weapons in their most efficient fantasy ways?
Man, this is a tough one. The Bears are an intriguing team to me because of Justin Fields. If somebody can unlock Justin Fields and the dual threat capability, that's going to be something for fantasy we're going to take note of. The Texans, obviously, with Deshaun Watson's situation, we look at the quarterback play first, I think, and we look at some of these teams. Now, Deshaun Watson's probably going to be suspended, but the Texans, what they end up, if they make the right hire, which a lot of people think they fired Dave Coley because Brian Flores became available, and they know that Deshaun Watson likes Flores, so they're trying to go and get Flores to keep Watson.
I like how Coward said about Flores. Smart people in the NFL know that Flores is just beginning.
Yeah. Well, and like the whole thing with that, just to go on a little bit of a tangent, is boggling here. The Dolphins, apparently the GM, wanted Tua, Flores wanted Herbert, and then basically Flores held a grudge the whole time. You look at the relationship between Greer, the GM for the Dolphins, and Tua, and it was fractured, I guess, for the entire time. And so that's, I think their owner came in, I forget his name, and said, look, I'm looking at all the information, and I'm going to go away from Flores. We've got Tua, we've got the GM who's been there for like 20 years. Whether or not we think that's the right call, I don't know. I think there's a situation, there's a situation where I think Flores was the wrong guy to fire here, who's won basically 8 wins in each of his last 2 games, and he won 8 of his last 9 at least. So that's something there. But as far as your question here, there's a couple teams that are interesting here to me. Again, the Bears, the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, they're going to have, a few weapons on offense and the number 1 pick this year. So that's an interesting. Yeah, they've got cap space as well, but we'll see how the Jags.
I want to add with the Jaguars. The Jaguars, to me, okay, I'll say this, taking one step back, the quarterback position is the most important position in all of sports. It's more important than your starting pitcher. It's more important than your starting point guard or center. In team sports, the quarterbacking position is the most important position in all of sports, and it can cover up the most of your inadequacies. A starting quarterback, a really good one, is the answer. It can cover up so many of your problems. And then you can take a team like the Denver Broncos, who are really solid everywhere, and they don't even have a horrible quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater, and they were just like that 500-ish team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe you sneak into the playoffs with a squad like that, but no one's going to pick you over a team that has a quarterback that can actually get it done, like the Chiefs, like the Packers, like the Bucks. So I look at the Jaguars as the most volatile position because if Trevor Lawrence is who we thought he was coming out of Clemson, to me, it's the Jaguars and the Jaguars alone. It's like you have the next face of the NFL. And like you're going to get a lot of new offensive linemen, wide receivers, defensive playmakers that come and go. But when we look at a regime, when we look at Peyton Manning in Indianapolis, when we look at Tom Brady in New England, when we look at Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre in Green Bay, like they've had a lot of different wide receivers, running backs, and defensive players that they've like dabbed up with. But they are the ones that keep it going and usually never miss the playoffs. And so if Trevor Lawrence is that good, they're going to start making the playoffs in a year or two, and then they're not looking back, regardless of who's on that.
And
squad.
I like how you mentioned the division because that's really the key for me. This division, not very great. We've got the Texans, the Jaguars, and obviously the Titans are the number 1 seed. I'm not trying to disrespect the Titans by any means, but are they striking the fear of you, the fear on you like a number 1 seed normally does? No, not for me. So the Jaguars are very interesting. They've got some of the pieces already. If they can get a good offensive mind in there to pair up with, Trevor Lawrence, not an Urban Meyer hothead, somebody that can get in there and marry with the quarterback and marry these ideas. I think that's good. But again, some of these teams, man, are interesting. I think if you ask me the worst team, and I'm not trying to throw shade here, but the Giants to me look like one of the worst positions, maybe the Texans, one of the worst positions to go after. The Texans get the edge for me because of the quarterback position, but I don't know how you save the situation.
Like, if Deshaun Watson comes out clean, you get a 27-year-old healthy. We're not looking at any legal ramifications. Deshaun Watson.
Well, I'm baking in that he gets suspended, right? I think he probably does, like somewhere in between 6 and 8 games. If I'm looking at it, I don't know this is unprecedented too. So like that could switch at any time. But if I'm baking in based on what they've done so far, maybe 6 to 8 games, and then you get him back. So yeah, I think he would get an edge over a Giants roster that's not really healthy. The offensive line, I mean, is really bad. They're already over the cap for next year. And Daniel Jones is just like, we've been talking about Daniel Jones being the wrong pick for a couple years now.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me, like New York, you think you have playmakers in New York, and what we're doing right now, Whisper Nation, is going through the 7 coaching vacancies and identifying which ones we think are the most desirable and who would be the most exciting team from a fantasy perspective if they got a hit at the head coach. And I want to go with the Giants as like an exciting piece because it's like Kenny Golladay, Saquon Barkley, Kadarius Toney, Evan Ingram, ancillary pieces like Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. Like, these are supposed to be playmakers, but I see a world where Tony's always hurt and never becomes a dude. He's a Tavon Austin 2.0. And then Kenny Golladay is washed. He's an Alshon Jeffrey now. And Sterling Shepard is like fine, but he's like your wide receiver 3. You don't want him to be your number 1
the field either.
And then Saquon Barkley, I mean, all these guys seem like they're kind of cut from the same cloth right now, right? Like exciting guys who don't play that often, and we're wondering if they're still good.
Yeah, and so many people have said they'd move on from Saquon if they needed to, and there's just situations where like so many GMs are saying Saquon's probably not somebody you re-sign or even extend. Yeah, they're just like one of my least favorite outfits here, unfortunately, just based on what they've got going. They've got some pieces on defense. I don't think it's going to be enough. You like that division. It's a weaker division. You want to get in there, but I just, I'm taking the other chances on the other ones. I think
they're the worst. I think they're the least desirable spot.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Is the Texans the second least desirable spot?
I think so.
Not a lot of pieces. Like, yeah, you got salary cap. Yeah, you got maybe some draft picks, but it's like you got a hit. You got a long way to go. I don't like either.
The Vikings are an interesting one. They fired Zimmer.
Maybe the most complete team.
I don't know, man. I think that they're like a couple moves away from being really ravaged with stuff too. Obviously Dalvin Cook's got his own legal stuff that's probably going to come to light too. We've got Kirk Cousins, who they've paid a lot of money, but is he the answer? We don't know. Defense has had a little bit been shaky. They're going to play. I mean, I don't know. The Vikings have something for now. They're one of the more win now teams set up, I think, but. You got to get somebody in there right away. And
what would be the difference maker for the Vikings? Like, what do the Vikings need? It could be a coach. Like, I could see like if you replace a Singletary with a Harbaugh and it flips around, like Kirk Cousins can get it done. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Justin Jefferson's a top 5 wide receiver. He might be the best wide receiver in the NFL. And Adam Thielen's still not bad. Dalvin Cook still got some stuff to him. Alexander Madison's there. Like, they need to freshen it up here pretty soon, but they're still in a win now type of situation.
Yeah, if you got that team like a really, really elite tight end, or if you got them an elite pass rusher on the other side,
I like that.
That's where I think that they're like a play away. Because remember, this team lost a ton of games by 1 possession this year.
Mm-hmm.
So if we get somebody in there, a motivator, man, I like the Harbaugh fit in Minnesota. I think if you go in there and you depend, like you get Harbaugh in there to motivate the defense and then run the hell out of the ball with Dalvin Cook with a gunslinger and Cousins, I think that could be really good for the Vikings. So we hope that doesn't happen.
And the only other team that's kind of like looking to me like a kind of a complete squad would be the Broncos. They don't have a quarterback though, so maybe they're not. Maybe that's actually a bad take because maybe the Broncos and the Dolphins are like a little bit more similar.
They're very similar there. I was going to say the Dolphins as well. Their defense is, I feel, a lot more set up. Their offense looks good. They've got playmakers on the offense. They've got Waddle. They've got Gesicki.
Is this team even missing anything?
No running back. I think they need something more solidified.
Easy.
Out of a running back, but that's
me too. Easy hole to fill. Yeah.
So I think you go get, Tua's a complimentary quarterback at worst right now. And we don't know if we've seen Tua's ceiling yet, right? We don't know if we got him in there with an offensive-minded coach who could call the plays, who could marry it up, what could be unleashed there. And now we're going to have another year of Waddle and Tua together. They get another, maybe they move on from Parker and they put somebody else in there. They get a boundary receiver, a big-bodied receiver. I think this team's got some pieces for sure.
I think they do too. And I think they do anything they need to trim some fat, cut out some infection, and build from the strong pieces they have, because they do have some strong pieces, and you don't need to go any further than just Tua and Waddle. Like, that's a cool squad to me. And this team won like 7 games in a row.
Yeah.
And they were on the playoff bubble there for a while. So,
we were talking about Flores on being cut from this or being fired. And we're talking about it. The whole industry is talking about it as like, man, Dolphins are idiots here, And And I kind of want to go that way. I get the Flores is good, but like if you're looking at it as the owner of the Dolphins and you say like Flores has been great for us, but he doesn't get along with my GM and my quarterback. I don't know why that's a bad firing. Like to me, I'm like, hey, it's just not good for us. You know, it's like a breakup that's amicable, right? It's like you're saying, look, you're still beautiful. I'm attracted to you. I love you. We have this great connection, but something's
not compatible.
Yeah,
we're not compatible.
This isn't going to work.
Timing's off.
Yeah, something's wrong. And so
there's no parking outside of your apartment. I can't date someone who's parking outside their park.
Especially in LA. Like, it's not going to work. The split is good for both of you. You're both going to have a great relationship after. And I think that could be the situation here with Miami that people aren't talking about enough is like they have pieces in place. They get the right offensive mind in there to marry with Tua. I think that could be really good.
Ronald coming in here with an interesting point saying, if I could get a huge haul, I would trade Kamara. A lot of things make me worried. He's young, but not new. Hill is going to take some touchdown outside from, and Ingram will probably back just for the pounder. I don't even know if we're talking dynasty or we're talking NFL wise.
The Saints here. Yeah. In general.
Yeah, but I think that's a great thing. If I'm the Saints, I'd move on from Kamara because I think you could still get a haul for him. But like, what is he is an answer at the position, but the position isn't an answer for the offense.
Well, and we've seen that this offense, even with Kamara in there, and he missed a lot of time this year, so I don't want to totally. But again,
he miss more time next year.
But again, right, exactly. He has always been the undersized guy. We were always kind of waiting for this, right? We were saying he lives off high efficiency, and we're saying like he's not going to be a guy that we think can last, this way. He kind of reminds me of the mobile quarterback. We're always waiting for that. Yeah, and we're always waiting for that edge to fall off. He's living off a lot of ceiling. I agree. I think you go and you could move on from him. And I think what's Peyton's seen here is that maybe the offense doesn't depend as much on Kamara as he thought. And he's going to have to go and shake things up in other ways anyways. So
it was a dynasty question and a little more here. Would you trade Kamara or Eckler in dynasty? I mean, I'd trade anybody anytime if the haul is right.
Right. Yeah, it depends on what you can get back.
I'm not trying to move off of them right now, but if the price was right, I could get something for now and maybe some like a first round pick or two. Like, yeah.
Depends on your squad too. What are you trying to do? Are you in rebuild mode? Are you win now? Like what is your strategy as a whole? Those dynasty questions come layered in, and we're going to keep continuing to push out the dynasty content, especially now as we move into mock draft Mondays. We're going to start getting into the dynasty mocks, looking at the rookies coming in, talking about trade questions for dynasty as well. We had a great video about Amon-Ra St. Brown, so go check that out. It's up on the page about trading him right now or not.
So we touched on all the teams here. We got the Broncos, the Dolphins, the Jaguars, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Giants, the Bears, and the Texans here. I guess my question for you right now, Travis, is after we've broken them all the way down, which team do you think would benefit the most from hiring Jim Harbaugh? And I'll say, regardless of your opinion on Jim Harbaugh, for the sake of this thought exercise, we're taking Jim Harbaugh at face value for what he did in San Francisco years ago, which was come into a not playoff team, basically take those same pieces and make them a Super Bowl contender just to be able to get the most out of everybody, make that offense and defense run efficiently to maximize the strengths, minimize the weaknesses of your players, and really just get the most out of it. Who do we think would benefit the most?
Or real football?
I guess both, because it ended up in this context, it's going to create an offense that wins games in the NFL and does so in a way that benefits your fantasy team.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the Vikings that are the best NFL team he like real football hire that I would say. I think if he went there, it's not that Zimmer's been bad. I think Zimmer's been great. I mean, they've played the Packers really well, and that's the best you can do in that division over the last 15 years. It's like, how tough can we play the Packers? How much can we put on the Packers? And Zimmer has done that. The problem has been these other games, these close possession games, where he can't get them over the edge. Right. And I think that's something that Harbaugh is good at. You look at, I thought it was pretty BS that he got fired from the Niners, to be honest with you. They were in the NFC Championship. They were in the Super Bowl.
That was another GM and coach just not getting along. That's another Brian Flores type deal.
Yep. And so I thought it was a sin that they got rid of him. He ran a ton, but he motivated that defense. He astutely saw that Kaepernick gave them the best chance to win and moved to Kaepernick when they had Alex Smith. All sorts of moves that he made a lot of sense to me. And so I think he'd be able to come in here with the Vikings, take the rest of Cousins' career as a Viking, maximize that, take a Dalvin Cook and a Madison and a strong run game, maximize that, take a defense, put a good defensive mind in as his coordinator, and maximize that. And plus, I just think Harbaugh's good at leading men. He comes from that family. Both guys are good at leading men. And I think that's what the Vikings need, is they need leadership to get him over the hump. I think he would be the best fit, or,
and that
a close second would be these Dolphins too.
I'm going to go a different angle on this one. I agree with everything that you're saying in terms of Jim Harbaugh being a motivator of men. I think he's a developer of dudes. I think he's a literary arsenal.
Developer of dudes. I'm going to start saying
a developer of dudes, a motivator of men. And I think the team that would benefit the most if this is what he's about and become the most dangerous team and certainly take the biggest leap would be the Chicago Bears. Jim Harbaugh is a quarterback himself. He's been a quarterback developer. You talked about how he went in and won with Alex Smith, but then saw the added benefits Colin Kaepernick could bring from a mobility perspective and what that did. Justin Fields is the quarterback right now for the Chicago Bears. He's flashed some really, really good plays, and that came from Matt Nagy, who was being described as orchestrating the worst game plan for a rookie quarterback ever. And I don't think Jim Harbaugh would do that. I think he would set up that team for success. I think he would motivate David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert, all these squads, and they've got a good defense already.
Right? The Chicago Bears, baby. I mean, it's all lining up there. I love this call, Austin. This is great. The run game is kind of set up, as you said. You took the Fields comparison there. Yeah, they're close too. I think the Bears are close too. I think this is going to be very telling. This coach could see who, if Rodgers is moving on, and I don't think that's going to happen, but let's say it is. This is a key opportunity for both the Bears and the Vikings to make their stamp as the team that can kind of take over the North. And this coaching change for both teams is going to be very interesting to see what they go with.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is going to be moving on to a different dramatic subject. That's what I think he's going to do.
Always
count on that. Well, Big Trav, any other subjects or any other items that you wanted to touch in here?
No, man, this is a fun show. I loved getting into this stuff. Obviously, the playoffs are around the corner. We've got 2 live streams, so make sure you guys are subscribed and you check us out Sunday morning. We are going to be doing the live stream for the Bucs-Eagles games. And then Monday night, we're going to be doing Monday night playoff football. We're going to be doing the Rams versus the Cardinals on Monday night live streaming. So it's going to be a blast. We're going to have a lot to talk about already on those streams because we'll have seen the Saturday games, and I think Monday by then we'll have seen Saturday and Sunday games. I'm excited. Austin, which game are you probably looking forward to the most out of these?
Well, I mean, the Rams Cardinals game is super, super fun on this one. I'm really
streaming with us. I was like, are you going to go to that game?
I actually had a chance to.
Oh,
I'm going to be with you instead. Well, no, I could have. I'd rather be with you guys. I'd rather be with Whisper Nation.
I
could have got it. Yeah. No, I had my homie who is a Charger super fan.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Chargers actually flew him out to the Super Bowl last year. He's a doctor, and the Chargers had wanted to do something nice for some of their healthcare heroes who were also super fans, and he got to be one of them. So they flew him out there last year, and he was like, "Does anybody want these tickets? You have it at the same price I paid for it." Because he's a Chargers fan, but it'd be to the Rams game, and he's
bitter because the Chargers just got ousted. He's like, no,
he might be. No. But no, I'd rather be here streaming with you and Whisper Nation. That's going to be a hell of a good time. And honestly, dude, the one that I just really am looking forward to maybe the most on this one is that New England Patriots game.
Yeah, you want to get a little ugly, huh? You want to get a little 0 degrees nastiness?
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one. I think the Niners Cowboys game might be the one that takes it, and that. Honestly,
I like the same thing.
The Bengals Raiders game. I think I'm excited to see that, to see if any of this is going to come true or if it's just going to be a blowout by the Bengals. There's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about, but I'm excited. Whisper Nation, we appreciate all you in here, man. It was a lot of fun today to get on here and chop it up, talk some ball.
Freak Stomper, Do It 420, Ronald Kalla, Scott coming in here. Everybody here, if I missed anybody, apologies on that one. It's been awesome to be here with you. We're going to be doing this, as Travis said, again on Sunday, again on Monday, and then throughout the week. We got a lot of really fun bits of content coming your way as well. Different dynamics for our Friday show coming up. New videos are going to be released throughout the week. Different streaming opportunities. And then, of course, the mock draft Mondays leading up to the mock draft marathon, all a part of Mock Draft Mania coming month in, month out, leading up to the actual start of the 2022 season. Well, man, it's been a hell of a time. That's Big Travie. I'm Austin Sear. We're the Fantasy Whispers, and we're out of here. Peace.
right here.
Look at you go. You made it to the end of another one of our videos. Hey, if you still have some questions, I totally understand. Or you just want to join an awesome fantasy football community, head on over to our Discord chat. Link is in the description below. And if you're still not sold on us, check out one of these videos.